Hey, Philosophix here, and today I'm just going to make a quick video on factors that affect your lesson. And when I say factors that affect your lesson, I mean really what affects the children because, well, obviously a lesson is made through the relationship and communication between the teacher and the kids, but I don't need to talk about the teacher, right? If you're maybe super tired one day and you're just like, and you're just being, you're just out of it, well, you know why you're out of it, but the kids, the kids will have days where they're super despondent, super tired, or just a lot of things that may just suddenly feel like a lot of pressure because especially if you're a first-time LT, then you're not used to kids suddenly, or you might not be used to kids at all. I wasn't. So when I first walk into the classroom, when I see a group of kids and maybe for the first 3-4 weeks, they're always the same, they're always happy, but then all of a sudden they're like out. Sometimes you like, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I doing? Did I say something offensive? Or is the class too hard or something like that? There's a lot of stuff that can affect children's mentality, especially in big groups. So today I want to make a video on identifying factors that can maybe help you. Okay, let's speak a little quicker now so I don't make another obnoxiously long video. Okay, so factors that affect your lesson. Number one, weather. Weather actually highly influences both you, the students, and the teacher because I don't know why, just when it's super cloudy like it was this morning and it was rainy, everyone gets all, down, they lack energy, and so don't be at all surprised if the kids are very despondent on rainy days and cloudy days. Just try to match the pace, slow down maybe, just kind of, or speed up, it depends on the class, right? Anyway, second, time and period. So what I mean by that is, here's a schedule. So, first period starts at 8:55 to 9:40. This is the earliest first time they might, it depends on the class, but usually the first period, second period, third period, they're like, okay, they still got energy, but then they start losing around fourth period, which is right before lunchtime, and then you have lunchtime, then you got fifth period, but fifth period, they just ate food, they just ran outside, they come into your lesson, they're going to be tired. So tired. All the energy is going to drop out of their body. So if you teach a fifth period class and there's nothing in particular that gets them all excited before your class, or you don't do anything exciting, they're just going to have this level of just sleepiness. So it's going to be up to you to kind of like work in some sort of attention grabbing, thing. But it's not impossible. It's just a little bit more effort. But anyway, moving on. Class size and level. So when you're teaching a lesson and you're teaching 20 children as opposed to 40 children or 3 children or 8 children, it highly influences how many of the kids' attention you grab and how well they can absorb the information, because if you're in a class of maybe 30 to 40 kids, that's a lot of children, and so all the kids will be, grabbing each other's attention. There's more where they can just kind of hide and get away with whispering to each other and stuff, especially if the homeroom teacher is not on top of that. So just be careful. Well, you can't really be careful or anything, but be expecting or wary of the fact that a larger class is easier for them to get lost and harder for them to pay attention. So yeah, next. Also when I say level, you can teach a 4th grade class in the same school and as another 4th grade class in the same school, so you can teach them back to back even, like right after the other. One class might be significantly more lower level than the other one. It's just a bunch of factors that lead into that. Make sure you gauge the level of the classes individually. Don't be like, 4th grade classes should all be able to do this, Be like, this 4th grade class might not be able to do the full sentence, but I could teach them the words and break this lesson into 2 lessons for them over 2 weeks instead of just 1, For instance, I do the 5 questions every day. I do, how's the weather? What day is it? What's the date today? They got all the months and then they pick the day. What season is it? They just choose, summer, winter, autumn, spring. And then the last question is, what time is it? They look at the clock. I have one 4th grade class that can do that easily, like in their sleep. But then the next class that immediately that shows up after that is like, what's sunny? Even though they say that, or they've been learning that for like, I don't know, 5 years at this point, just nonstop every day saying the same thing over and over. So, highly depends on your class level too. So let's say you teach the same class, but then you always teach them something that's too hard for them, their morale, enthusiasm will go down. They'll stop paying attention to you more. It's not good. So number 5, internal conflict. This has a lot to do with bullying maybe, or things out of your eyesight and reach that the homeroom teacher might be able to inform you about. Last year I had a class where there's a lot of bullying in the 6th graders, the oldest classes I teach. And oh man, it was awkward. You teach the class, but the class was silent, not because they hate English or anything like that, because they didn't like each other. The girls were staying away from the boys, and then even within the girls and boys groups, they were bullying each other. It was terrible. It's out of your control, but at some point, maybe if you find a class being unreasonably, despondent to you, or just in everything in general, ask your teacher. Just be like, is this an internal thing, not so much as your class? And if you know on top of that, it's that kind of class, then you could have some measures to go against that. So for instance, the class that I taught, they didn't really want to work in groups because obviously they didn't like each other. And so I gave them activities where you played games in one big group, but it's more like you do a lot of individual stuff. Stuff like that. And also because of all that fighting and stuff, I don't want to say they matured quicker, but they got sick of kiddie stuff a lot quicker. So doing songs and certain games. At some point, they actually just kind of wanted to sit there and just start writing. So that was interesting. But moving on. The homeroom teacher, HRT. Basically, you don't teach classes by yourself. There's always going to be a class that comes in, and then they have their homeroom teacher, who's pretty much the authority of that class through almost all their classes every day. The homeroom teacher is obviously going to affect the class because of how he raises the students. It sounds weird, but in Japan, the homeroom teacher is pretty much like the parents, because the parents are always working and they only, the kids spend more time in school than they do with their parents usually. So because of this, the homeroom teacher does a lot of parenting. It's pretty much parenting, except it's targeted towards a big class. But if there's always, a student that's kind of going crazy or whatever, then he or she will target that student and bring him out and just give him one-on-one lectures and stuff like that. But yeah, it's really interesting because if I'm at the same school where the general environment is the same, but then two different teachers are drastically different, so are their classes. So look at your teacher, then look at the class. You should see a mirrored class, right? I had, for instance, last year, a 5th grade class that was just, they're angels because the teacher was like, I don't know how you'd say this, like a grandmother who was very loving but also strict when she had to be. Then the other teacher was quiet, short in stature, never really could discipline the kids because they realized that because she was so quiet that they didn't have to listen to her, but she didn't do anything. She was inexperienced basically, and because of that the kids were crazy, out of control, they never listened. They're now 6th graders and they still don't listen, but the new teacher is way more like, strict and stuff, but he's basically like patching up the damage that's been done. So yeah, just be aware. Sometimes it's just your teacher. Okay, going on. Teaching style. And when I say teaching style, I mean your teaching style. And I mean in general your teaching style. So I know I said I wouldn't really like... anyway. So teaching style, I mean like tempo. So for instance... how well do you teach the lesson in a rhythm in which the children don't lose interest? So I can teach a lesson where I used to first start out where I didn't really think about speed or tempo. If the lesson, let's say, was where do you want to go? Some people who just start out might not realize that if you just teach it like, where do you want to go? And then you just say that over and over again, it's going to be hard to understand. Kids won't really pick it up as quickly as if you put in a tempo, you know, like, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? You know, it gives them a little bit of speed, but it's not just the words, I mean the whole lesson, right? So let's say you had a great start of the lesson and it was nice and well-paced, and all of a sudden you just slow down. This was a problem I had. You just slow down and then you're like, okay, let's review words one. What's this? What's this? What's this? You know, you point to words, but you do it all slowly all of a sudden. The tempo gets messed up. The kids start losing interest. They're instantly like bored. You got to be careful of tempo. You want to keep it high. You always want to have something to do. You don't want to have gaps between activities, you know. If you're deciding, okay, now let's play a game, and then you have to like organize all your stuff because you didn't do it beforehand. The kids are just sitting there. They get bored. They'll start getting loud. They'll talk to each other. You have to catch their interest the whole time to keep the, I guess, you know, the kids' attention, right? So number 8, your understanding of these, basically. So your understanding of, let's say, okay, for instance, time and period. It's morning. The kids are still sleepy. You could start the class either with a song or a review. It's really up to you. I mean, usually there's a general format, but they're sleepy. Let's wake them up. Let's do a song, or let's do a game that wakes them up so that when they start the lesson, they're not, you know, out of their minds and they can actually focus. They're more awake and more aware. Or on the other hand, if they just came in from recess, sometimes you have the class that's just super energetic because they just played dodgeball or something and they just had a lot of fun and they're not actually sleepy after they ate anyway. Then at that point, don't do anything that stimulates them even more and then pushes them over to get tired, you know? It's your understanding of how you handle this lesson as it progresses. So going on, 9, you. This is just basically you outside of the classes. What I mean, if you play with the kids a lot, if they feel safe around you, or because, you know, I told you can't really get angry, but sometimes you might snap. I don't know, depending on who it is. Sometimes you don't have the patience to just sit there. Sometimes you might be like, okay, shut up or something, you know. Then the kids might be afraid of you, or maybe you guys are just total strangers, right? You do all this spending time alone or something. You know, you hide in the bathroom and you play on your cell phone, or you stay in the staff room and you don't leave, you don't talk with the kids, you don't play with them. And the only time you see them is in the classroom, and for some reason you just don't look happy or something, then the kids will never really have they won't feel like they can have fun in your class or something. So just be aware that your gestures too, you know, like how energetic you are, how well you move, and if you're smiling or not, that'll affect a lot. And the last one I want to talk about, family. And when I say family, this is really specific but really important, so I wanted to mention this. There are a few lessons that will involve family. For instance, this is my father, this is my brother, this is my mother. You might have a class or a couple or actually you might have a bunch of classes where some people don't have family or some people are orphans. In this school particularly, a lot of the students are from a nearby orphanage, and so that will affect some lessons of revolving around family. So sometimes just skip the lessons or change them, alter them so they're not related to family anymore. For instance, if you're going to do introductions like, oh, this is my brother, you know, Frank, I don't know, random name. Change it to, this is my friend, Frank, you know, or this is my dog. Change it to a pet class, you know. Just be aware. This is a huge issue, especially for kids at this delicate age. I've ran into this a couple times. Talk with your homeroom teacher. Ask them if it's safe to talk about family. All right, and that covers my factors that affects lessons that I kind of thought up of in like 5 minutes. If I think of more, I'll maybe leave it in the comments or make a new video. All right then. So yeah, sorry I rant so much. There's so much I want to tell you, and this wasn't even all of it. I want to make another video specifically for games because, you know, this stuff is just general stuff that you can just be more on the lookout for, but then for games, you have to make the games. And there are factors in which makes a game good or makes a game horrible that are kind of similar in like terms of this, like class size and stuff, what kind of kids you got, you know, so I'm gonna make a video on that. But for now, this video I'd like to end. If you liked it, have any questions, leave a comment, hit the like button, subscribe. But yeah, let me know if you have anything you want me to talk about, even if it's not ALT related, but especially if it's ALT related, yeah? Okay. Oh man, that view, that's awesome. I'm just gonna sit here for like another 2 hours because I'm done for the day, but I finished before lunch even started, so the perks of this job, you get it? You get decent amounts of free time. Sweet. Yeah. All right, I'll see you later. Okay, I almost forgot. Today's word of the day is Junkin. Junkin. And Junkin is their way of saying rock, paper, scissors. Why is this my word of the day? Because Junkin is the biggest thing ever. Like, they play rock, paper, scissors every day, throughout the day, and you will definitely 100,000% play this probably once a week, once every 2 weeks. You will have to use it in your games, guaranteed, at least at some point as an ALT. You will use it for, I don't know, just almost everything. You know, it's a good way of settling disputes in Japan. It's been used from elementary school all the way to adults. They're like, oh, I want to do this. No, I want to do this. Okay. Then the teacher will say, okay, Junkin, Junkin shio, Junkin. So remember this word. You'll hear this all the time. You'll hear this on a daily basis. They use this for like lunchtime. They'll use this for recess. They'll use this for lessons outside of just English. They'll use it everywhere. This is probably one of the most important things you can learn, but you probably don't even need me to talk about this because you'll hear it so many times. So they'll be like, it's not rock, paper, scissors, it's Junkin poi, or Junkin poi, something like that. Anyway, you'll always hear the word Junkin, like almost every day, I guarantee it. Also, so I don't know why, they don't teach it the American style. It's like rock, paper, shoot. Yeah, rock, paper, shoot. See, I'm already forgetting it because I haven't said it in such a long time. They say rock, scissors, paper, and I don't understand. But yeah, so they're used to it that way. However, I said screw that, and now everyone just does 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3 is awesome. But I always started out as okay, let's play Junkin, 1, 2, 3. So either way, you're probably gonna want to say Junkin. It is more convenient than saying rock, paper, scissors, you know. Rock, paper, scissors, 1, 2, 3. But it is an alternative. So, that being said, once again, goodbye. I'll see you in the next video.